Hi everyone. In this class, we are going to study about the gastric function test and the pancreatic function test. Regarding with the gastric function test, we have to study about the anatomy of the stomach and its functions, then the indications for gastric function test, classification, then in detail we have to study about the fractional test meal and the insulin test. Next, coming to the anatomy of the stomach. Stomach has mainly three parts: the fundus, body and antrum. At the bottom it is connected with the pyloric sphincter which connects the duodenum, that is the first part of the small intestine. At the top it is connected with the esophagus. Then the whole structure of the stomach, it is having small infoldings called as the rouage. Next, in your previous semesters, you have studied in detail about the functions of the stomach and its secretions. So, you know that stomach is the reservoir for the partially digested food. Then, this partially digested food undergoes mixing with the gastric secretions to form a semi-fluid mixture called as chyme. And then this stomach secretes substances which are responsible for the initiation of the digestion. The chief constituents of the gastric juice includes hydrochloric acid, which is secreted by the parietal cells, also called as oxyntic cells. Then the main enzyme pepsinogen secreted by the chief cells, which digest the proteins. Then the intrinsic factor required for the absorption of vitamin B12 is also secreted by the stomach. Stomach also secretes alkaline mucus which coats the gastric walls and act as a lubricant, whereby it protects the stomach by the action of HCl. Next, coming to the indications of the gastric function test, it is done usually to diagnose the gastric ulcers and to exclude the diagnosis of pernicious anemia and peptic ulcer. Then for presumptive diagnosis of Zollinger-Ellison syndrome. You know the meaning of Zollinger-Ellison syndrome, where there is a formation of tumor in the pancreas which leads to the secretion of high amount of gastrin hormone, which in turn leads to the secretion of very high levels of gastric juice. Then to determine the completeness of surgical vagotomy, where vagotomy means a surgical cutoff of the vagus nerve which gives the stimulation for the secretion of the gastric juice. The classification of the gastric function tests includes: the first one is the analysis of resting contents of the gastric juice, that is the gastric residuum. Second one is the fractional test meal analysis, that is using a test meal. Third one is analysis after stimulation. Here the stimulation is given by using some substances like alcohol, caffeine, histamine, insulin or pentagastrin. And the last one is the tubeless gastric analysis, where it is used as a screening test. Fractional test meal is a very old method and nowadays it is not in use. This test involves the collection of stomach contents by Rayleigh tube during fasting. It is followed by a gastric stimulation giving a test meal called as Ewald test meal, which contains 2 pieces of toast and 250 ml of tea or oatmeal porridge or rice gruel and black coffee. The stomach contents are aspirated by Rayleigh's tube at different time intervals, usually every 15 minutes for 2 hours. The samples are analyzed for free and total acidity in the laboratory. The results are normally represented by a graph. Next, coming to the interpretation of the fractional test meal, a person is said to be normal if the total acid is below 50 milliequivalent per liter. If it is above 50 milliequivalent per liter, then the condition is said to be hyperchlorhydria, which is the indication of duodenal ulcer, gastric cell hyperplasia, pyloric stenosis, and Zollinger-Ellison syndrome. The next gastric function test is insulin stimulation test. It is also called as Hollander's test. It is mainly done to assess the completeness of vagotomy. The steps to be followed in this method includes the Rayleigh tube is passed into the stomach after an overnight fast and the stomach is made empty. Then 15 units of soluble insulin is injected intravenously and about 10 ml of gastric contents are collected at an interval of 15 minutes for 2.5 hours. The samples are analyzed for free and total acidity, peptic activity and presence of blood, bile, starch, etc. As I said earlier, insulin stimulation test is mainly done to assess the completeness of vagotomy. In duodenal ulcer, acid level is more in response to insulin. The concentration of free acid may be over 100 milliequivalents per liter. After vagotomy, no response of insulin is found and the gastric acidity remains at 15 to 20 milliequivalents per liter before and after insulin injection. Next, we shall move on to pancreatic function test. The pancreas is a specialized organ with both exocrine and endocrine functions. The endocrine functions involve the synthesis of hormones insulin and glucagon, whereas the exocrine functions involve the synthesis of pancreatic juice containing several enzymes and bicarbonate. The major enzymes of pancreatic juice are trypsin, chymotrypsin, elastase, carboxypeptidase, amylase and lipase. The indications for pancreatic function tests includes acute pancreatitis, obstruction for the flow of pancreatic juice in the intestine, then peptic ulcer, malignancy, renal failure and salivary gland inflammation. Serum amylase and lipase measurements are commonly employed to assess the pancreatic functions. Both these enzymes' activities are elevated in acute pancreatitis, obstruction in the intestine or in the pancreatic duct. First, we shall see the assay of amylase enzyme. This enzyme is secreted both by the salivary glands and the pancreatic glands. The normal serum level of amylase enzyme is 50 to 120 international units. The main function of amylase enzyme is in the digestion of starch and glycogen in the diet. And this amylase is particularly useful in the diagnosis of acute pancreatitis where the sensitivity is 75%. It starts rising in the serum within few hours of the onset of the disease and reaches a peak in 24 hours and returns to normal in 3 to 5 days with increased renal clearance. The levels of amylase are increased in acute pancreatitis, diabetic ketoacidosis, burns, renal failure, malignancy, then gallstones and ovarian cysts. Urinary amylase is more sensitive indicator than the serum amylase. The assay of amylase enzyme is done by three different methods. One is amyloclastic method, second one is sacharogenic method, and third one is chromogenic method. In amyloclastic method, the substrate starch is made to react with the iodine solution and we will get a blue colored complex. To this, amylase enzyme is added. Now the amylase reacts with this blue colored complex and acts on the starch and gives isomaltose, maltose and glucose. Now the color slightly changes to pale blue color or the light blue color. Then this color intensity is measured colorimetrically. In the sacharogenic method, the substrate starch is made to react with the amylase enzyme with the liberation of isomaltose and maltose. These isomaltose and maltose both are reducing sugars which are then treated with alkaline copper reagent and the color intensity was measured colorimetrically. Later on, the values are expressed in Somugi units. In the chromogenic method, starch is first treated with the insoluble chromogenic dye. Then it is treated with the amylase enzyme. Now the starch is broken down to release the insoluble chromogenic dye to a soluble dye with the liberation of isomaltose and maltose. Then the color intensity was measured colorimetrically. Next, coming to the assay of lipase enzyme. The lipase enzyme is mainly present in the pancreas and in trace amounts it is found in the stomach and small intestine. The normal serum lipase levels includes 50 to 175 international units per liter. Lipase acts on triglycerols to liberate glycerol and free fatty acids. And the assay of lipase is done by two different methods. The first one is the titrymetric method and second one is turbidometric method. First, let us see the titrymetric method. So in the titrymetric method, the triacylglycerol is treated with the lipase enzyme which liberates 2 monoglycerides and 2 free fatty acids. The reaction is carried out under alkaline pH, that is 8.6 to 9. This is called as a classical Cherry-Crandall method where the olive oil is used as a substrate and measured the liberated free fatty acids by titration after 24 hours incubation. Triolein is one of the substrate nowadays used as a more pure form of triacylglycerol instead of olive oil. The second method is the turbidimetric method where the fat in solution, that is in the form of cloudy emulsions, are treated with the lipase enzyme are hydrolyzed to fat particles, that is which contains free fat particles which are dispersed in the solution, and the rate of clearing of the fat in the solution is measured by this method.